I don't talk about what happened at that hospital anymore. Not because I don't remember it, but because part of me is afraid that saying it out loud might wake something up. This happened a few years ago when I was still working as a clinical trauma specialist. My name is Dr. Greta Lang, and I was called in to consult at a long-term psychiatric hospital located far outside the city. The kind of place you don't pass by accidentally. You have to be looking for it. I remember the drive clearly. Gravel crunching under my tires. The sky completely gray, like it couldn't decide whether it wanted to rain or just suffocate everything underneath it. When the hospital came into view, I remember thinking it looked wrong. Not abandoned, just old, heavy, like it had been standing there longer than it should have. Vines crawled up the stone walls, dark moss clinging to the surface like a disease. And for a second, just a second, I thought the building shifted when I wasn't looking straight at it. I told myself I was tired. Inside, the air was cold and damp, with that sharp antiseptic smell hospitals have, mixed with something underneath it. Something rotten. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, flickering just enough to make everything feel unstable. The receptionist barely acknowledged me. He didn't look at my face. His eyes kept drifting past me toward the hallway behind. He told me Dr. Calloway was waiting in the central ward. Then, almost as an afterthought, he said, I'd avoid the mirrored corridor. I asked him why. He didn't answer. The hallways felt longer than they should have been. Too quiet. My footsteps echoed back at me in a way that didn't feel right. The walls were lined with old mirrors, tarnished, cracked, some warped with age. At one point, I glanced at my reflection, and it felt delayed, like it reacted a fraction of a second after I did. When I turned fully to face it, everything looked normal again. I didn't stop walking after that. The central ward was filled with the low hum of machines and quiet muttering from patients I couldn't see. That's where I first saw Karina. She couldn't have been older than 20. Her skin was pale, stretched tight over her bones, and beneath the bandages on her arms were these spiraling scars. Perfectly shaped. Too precise to be accidental. Nurse Lena Torres stood beside me and whispered that Karina had been like this since she arrived. That she talked about a house. About fire. She said the spirals appeared whenever Karina talked about it. When I gently touched one of the scars, my stomach dropped. The flesh was raised, like it had been carved from the inside. Karina stirred and whispered something about walls and being left behind. I pulled my hand back immediately. I told myself to stay professional, to stay detached. I ordered her transferred to the experimental wing. Said we needed to suppress the memory trigger. Lena looked at me like she wanted to argue, but didn't. The experimental wing was colder than the rest of the hospital. Too clean. Too quiet. And that's when I noticed something I hadn't before. Faint spiral patterns, etched into the walls. I told myself it was stress. Pattern recognition. Nothing more. That night, alone in my office, I couldn't stop thinking about Karina's words. The house. The fire. And memories I hadn't thought about in decades started pushing their way forward. Smoke. Heat. A scream I couldn't place. When Lena knocked on my door and told me Karina was awake, asking for me, my chest tightened. Karina was sitting upright when I entered. Her eyes were focused, clear, too aware. She asked if I was there to take it away. I asked her what she meant. She grabbed the sheets and whispered, "The house won't let me go." When I asked her to describe it, her body went rigid. Her eyes rolled back. The spirals on her arms darkened, glowing faintly under her skin. And then she said something I'll never forget. "It's inside you too." The monitor started screaming. Karina convulsed. Lena shouted for help, but I couldn't hear her over the sound of whispering. Not from Karina. From the walls. Later, I went over Karina's scans again and again. The spiral patterns weren't random. They were structured. They were language. That's when I noticed the mirror in my office. My reflection wasn't moving. I stepped closer, my breath shallow, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The thing in the mirror stared back at me, expressionless. Then it smiled. Too wide. Too knowing. Spirals pulsed beneath its skin. I stumbled back, and when I looked again, it was just me. Pale. Shaking. Human. But when I pulled up my sleeve, the spiral was already there. The next morning, I confronted Dr. Calloway. He didn't deny it. He told me trauma leaves imprints. On people. On places. When I asked why I was changing too, he just said, "Because the hospital chose you." The walls pulsed softly around us. And in that moment, I understood the truth. The hospital wasn't researching the spirals. It was creating them. I never left that place. At least, not all of me did. Sometimes when I catch my reflection in a mirror for too long, it smiles first, and I can still hear the walls whispering my name. I was about 12 years old when this happened, and at the time, I didn't understand how much it would stay with me. For some backstory, I was staying at my cousin's house because my family was in the middle of moving. It wasn't supposed to be scary at all. I was actually excited. I loved my cousin, and staying there felt like a little break from everything going on in my life. I should probably mention something important early on. I get sleep paralysis. I'd already experienced it before this, so when strange things started happening, my first instinct was to explain it away. The first night, I woke up in the middle of the night and saw a woman in my room. She was standing near the doorway, just walking slowly like she belonged there. She was wearing this gorgeous dress, something old-fashioned, elegant. And she had a mask on like something you'd see at a masquerade. At first I thought, okay, sleep paralysis. But then I realized something was wrong. I could move. I sat up. I rubbed my eyes. My heart was pounding, but my body wasn't frozen. And she didn't disappear. She reached up and slowly removed the mask. Her face was beautiful, except one side of it looked melted, scarred, like it had been burned. The dress changed too. The fabric darkened, shriveled, turned into something burned and tattered right in front of me. Then she walked toward my bed. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just watched as she passed straight through me. But I felt it, a rush of cold air, like wind moving through my chest. I didn't sleep after that. The next night I saw her again, but this time she was a child. Or maybe it was her child. Same mask. Same moment where everything changed when it came off. Burned skin. Burned clothes. The same horrible feeling in the room, like the air itself was wrong. The third night, she was old. A grandmother maybe. Wrinkled hands. Bent posture. Same mask. Same burning transformation. By this point I was terrified, but also confused. I kept telling myself it was nightmares. Stressed. My imagination. Then came the fourth night. That's the night that broke that explanation. I woke up and saw a man standing in my room holding a candle. At the time, I didn't even register him as a ghost. I just knew I was scared, really scared. That year, I had gone through something traumatic, and seeing a grown man standing over me in the dark sent me straight into panic. He knelt down and touched the candle to the floor. The flames spread fast, and then I heard it. A child crying. A woman whispering, trying to calm her. An older woman praying softly. All around me. That's when it clicked. They weren't separate. They were a family. I don't remember falling asleep again. I just remember waking up in the morning and finding a small burn mark on my body. A real one. After that, nothing else happened during the rest of my stay. I convinced myself it had all been dreams. Night terrors. My brain filling in gaps. Until years later. About 2 years after my experience, my cousin casually mentioned that she had seen a woman in the house. At different times. Wearing strange clothes. Her mom, my aunt, said she had seen a man. And a child. My uncle admitted he had seen the man several times, and sometimes the child and an old woman. That's when I realized something that still gives me chills. I was the only one who had seen all of them. They moved out of that house about a year after my experience. Life went on. Then, about 2 months ago, everything resurfaced. We were looking through old videos taken inside the house, and in the background of one of them we saw a child wearing a mask. That's when we decided to look into the history of the property. And we found it. About 200 years ago, before the current house was built, a family lived there. A man, his wife, their child, and the woman's mother. The man tried to burn the house down during a fight. The first time it failed, but the child was badly burned. In the same spot where I still have my scar. The second time, it worked. The fire killed the mother, the grandmother, and the child. They had just come home from a masquerade. They were buried there. And a new house was built on top of it. I still have the scar. That's the only reason I know, really know, that it wasn't just my imagination. I've had other paranormal experiences since then, but none of them ever felt like that. None of them ever followed a pattern. None of them ever felt like I was being shown something, piece by piece. I used to be obsessed with the paranormal. I wanted an experience so badly. Now, I don't know if I want another one ever again. I'm in the later years of high school now, looking at colleges on the East Coast. Sometimes I wonder if I'll run into something like that again. But honestly, I hope I don't, because now I know something I didn't before. Sometimes when you stay at a family member's house while you're moving, you don't just inherit their spare room. You inherit whatever never left. I was 17 years old when this happened. I'm 22 now and I live far away from where I grew up, but what I saw that night still follows me. Back then, I lived deep in the hollers of Somerset, Kentucky. If you've never been there, it's hard to explain just how isolated it feels. Long roads, thick woods, hills that block out sound. At night, it feels like the world ends a few feet past the tree line. This happened on a weekend right around the time school was starting back up. The air was cool, not cold, just enough to feel good on your skin. I remember being in my room when I got a text from my friend DJ. He said him, Marshall, and Amanda wanted to hang out that night. I told him yeah, and that I'd bring some booze. I waited until my house was quiet, opened my window, and carefully tossed my bag outside. I climbed out after it, trying not to make any noise, slung the bag over my back, and started walking down my driveway. I had a long walk ahead of me, probably 3 or 4 miles. All hills, up and down. By the time I got there, my legs were already burning, and the bag on my back felt heavier with every step. But I still played basketball with them for a while, drank a little, laughed, and tried not to think about how far I had to walk back. When I finally started heading home, it was late. At first, everything felt normal. I could hear the woods around me, crickets, frogs, the occasional owl. That kind of background noise you grow up with out there. But when I reached the road that led up into the hills with woods closing in on both sides, something changed. I smelled something. It was like rotting meat. Thick, heavy. It hit the back of my throat and made it hard to breathe, like the air itself was choking me. I didn't stop. I just walked faster. By the time I reached the top of the road, I realized something else was wrong. It was quiet. Not peaceful quiet, dead quiet. No crickets, no frogs, nothing. That scared me more than the smell. We have bears where I'm from. Mountain lions too. And when the woods go silent, it usually means something big is nearby. I pulled my phone out and put on some spiritual music, not loud, just enough to hear. I told myself not to stop, not to panic. Then I heard it. It sounded like an injured animal, but wrong. Too deep, too strained. I turned on my flashlight and aimed it toward the tree line. I saw movement, just a shadow at first. And then I did the one thing I wish I hadn't. I ran. The moment I took off, I felt it, that feeling of being watched. Like something was pacing me from inside the woods. I glanced back, and I saw it. Its arms were long, way too long. Like a gorilla's arms, but thinner, stretched out, ending in claws that looked 4 inches long. Its head looked like a deer's skull, but with sharp teeth, and its skin was peeling, hanging off its face. It was running on 2 legs, and it was close enough to grab me if it wanted to. I don't know how I stayed calm enough to think, but something in my head clicked. I shrugged my bag off while running, reached inside, grabbed one of the bottles and a rag I had stuffed in there. I didn't stop moving. I shoved the rag into the bottle, slung my bag back onto my shoulders, fumbled for my lighter, almost dropped it, and lit the rag. Then I turned and threw it. The bottle smashed near it and flames burst out. That thing screamed. It turned away from me and ran, not into the woods but toward the bridge behind us. I watched it leap over the side and disappear into the darkness below. I didn't stop running. I ran until my chest burned and my legs felt like they were going to give out. When I finally reached my house, I stopped just long enough to listen. The woods were alive again. Crickets, frogs, owls, and the smell was gone. The next morning I checked my bag. There were deep cuts in it, clean, sharp slashes. Like someone had taken a knife to it. I never snuck out again. Because I know deep down, if I had, I wouldn't be here telling this story. So if you ever find yourself walking alone at night in the hollers of Kentucky, just remember this. Whatever lives out there doesn't need to chase you forever. It only needs to catch you once. I'm writing this now with shaking hands, not because I'm in danger anymore, but because I'm not sure I ever truly made it back. This happened a few years ago when I was working aboard a cargo ship crossing the Indian Ocean. I had been a sailor for most of my adult life. The ocean was all I ever wanted. Endless water, endless sky, a place where the world felt honest. That night, a storm rolled in without warning. I've been through storms before, but this one was different. The wind screamed like it had a voice. Thunder cracked so close it felt like the sky was splitting open. Waves slammed into the hull again and again until the ship finally gave up. I remember alarms blaring, people shouting names. Then the deck tilted so hard I was thrown against the rail. Somehow, in all that chaos, I ended up alone, dragging myself into an emergency life raft just seconds before the ship disappeared beneath the waves. That was the last time I saw anyone alive. For days I drifted. Nothing but blue in every direction. No land, no ships, just the sound of water slapping rubber and the sun burning my skin raw. My food ran out first, then water. My lips cracked. My head throbbed constantly. I started tasting salt even when my mouth was empty. At night I'd hear things, or at least I thought I did. Voices, distant splashing. Sometimes I dreamed the crew was still alive, calling for me from somewhere just beyond the dark. By the third night I was ready to let go. When I woke up again, I wasn't on the raft anymore. I was lying on wet sand. The sun was rising, low and orange, and for a moment I thought I was dead. But the pain was still there. My throat burned. My muscles screamed when I moved. I had washed ashore on a small island, one I didn't recognize. No signs, no structures, just dense jungle and a shoreline littered with bodies. Fish, crabs, mollusks, coral. Piles of marine life scattered across the beach like something had vomited the ocean onto land. The smell was unbearable, rotting, salty, sweet in the worst way. And the strangest part? There were no living animals. No birds. No insects. No sound. The island was silent. I found palm trees and managed to drink some of the sap just to stay conscious. As I explored further inland, the silence followed me. It felt wrong, like the island itself was holding its breath. That's when I saw the cave. It was hidden behind hanging vines, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it. And inside, there was a faint blue light. I don't know why I went in. Curiosity maybe, or shock, or the simple need to believe another human had been there before me. But what I found wasn't human. Inside the cave was what looked like a shrine. Crude sculptures made of clay and stone, humanoid bodies with fish heads. Their mouths were frozen open, teeth jagged and sharp. Their eyes were too large, bulging like deep-sea creatures pulled too quickly to the surface. Paintings covered the walls. They showed the ocean, and beneath it, a massive structure. A city. Towers wrapped in kelp. And around it, those same creatures, gathered in worship around something enormous. Something feeding. I backed away the moment my mind finally accepted what I was seeing. That's when I heard movement. From the shoreline. I watched from the treeline as shapes rose out of the water. Well, what? Wrong. Their eyes reflected the sunlight like glass. They moved exactly like the figures in the cave. They fed on the carcasses scattered across the beach, tearing into them with slow, deliberate motions. I stayed hidden until nightfall. That night I didn't sleep. I listened to the ocean, and the occasional splash of something returning to the water. When dawn came I ran. I didn't stop until my legs gave out. A fisherman found me floating on debris later that morning. I survived, but part of me never left that island. Even now, lying awake at night, I smell salt and rot. I dream of blue fire flickering on stone walls. And sometimes, when the room is quiet enough, I swear I can hear waves breaking beneath the floor. Like something is still waiting for me, just below the surface. And I don't think it ever stopped watching. It should go without saying, especially to anyone who listens to stories like this, but for the love of God, do not use a Ouija board. I know it's sold as a harmless game. Something you pull out at a sleepover. Something you laugh about with friends late at night. But trust me, it's not a game. And the story I'm about to tell you proves that. This isn't my experience. It's my parents'. And even now, more than 30 years later, they still refuse to talk about it for very long. This happened when my parents were teenagers. Back when they were just kids doing what kids do. Drinking, hanging out, killing time in places they weren't supposed to be. My mom, Lisa, and my dad, Eric, were part of a small group of friends who had heard about Ouija boards and thought it sounded like fun. My dad especially didn't believe in any of it. Even today, he's skeptical of anything paranormal. Ghost stories, encounters, urban legends. He usually laughs them off. So the fact that he still swears this happened tells me everything I need to know. One night, the group decided to try the board out in a local hangout spot. It was a cornfield just outside town. Every town has one. Some place hidden where kids go when they don't want to be seen. No houses nearby. No street lights. Just rows of corn and open sky. The night was clear, quiet, almost peaceful. They sat in a circle on the ground, laughing, joking, passing drinks around. When they brought the board out, nobody was scared yet. It felt stupid, childish even. At first, they asked the usual questions. Does this person like me? What's going to be on the math test? That kind of thing. Nothing happened. Then, without warning, the planchette started to move. Slowly. Deliberately. It spelled out one word. Move. They laughed at first. Someone joked that one of them was pushing it, but something about the way it moved felt different. Heavy. Intentional. Still, they listened. They picked up the board and moved a short distance away, deeper into the field. And not even 30 seconds later, headlights exploded through the corn. A drunk driver tore straight through the exact spot where they had been sitting. Corn stalks snapped. Dirt flew. The truck barely slowed down. If they hadn't moved, none of them would have survived. That's when my dad said it out loud. "This thing is creepy. Let's get out of here." But the board didn't want them to leave. The planchette started flying across the letters. Not slowly anymore. Aggressively. "Don't go. I'll kill you." That's when panic finally set in. My dad grabbed the board, threw it onto the dirt, jumped into his pickup truck, and ran it over. Not once. Multiple times. Just to be sure. They piled into the vehicles and took off. As they pulled away from the cornfield, someone looked back. At the edge of the field, standing perfectly still, was a pack of wolves. Not dogs. Not coyotes. Wolves. Just watching. Nobody said a word. They drove straight to a McDonald's a mile or two down the road. Somewhere bright. Somewhere safe. When they pulled into the parking lot, everyone finally started breathing again. Then someone looked at the clock. 2 hours had passed. None of them remembered driving there. 2 hours to travel a mile. They went inside, ordered food, trying to convince themselves it was just adrenaline. Just stress. Just coincidence. Until they sat down. Someone happened to glance out the window. Across the road, standing under the glow of a streetlight, was a pack of wolves. Watching. Whether it was the same pack or not, nobody knows. But it felt deliberate. Like they'd been followed. They didn't finish their food. They left immediately and went home. That night, my mom tried to sleep. She said the room felt wrong. Heavy. Too quiet. Then, a cold wind passed over her body. Not a draft. Not air leaking through a window. Every window was closed. This was colder than the night outside. Cold enough to make her shiver uncontrollably. She didn't stay in her room. She ran to her sister's bedroom and slept there instead, if you can even call it sleep. After that night, my parents never touched a Ouija board again. They never spoke about it for years. And even now, when I ask questions, my dad goes quiet. My mom changes the subject. They don't argue about whether it was real. They already know. So if you're thinking about using one, just don't. There are things in this world we don't understand. And some doors, once opened, don't close again. Thanks for listening. Hi. My name's Alex, and this is a story my father used to tell me and my siblings when we were kids. It happened to him in the summer of 1978, when he was in his early 20s. Back then, it was just a normal day. My dad, his two younger brothers, Michael and Eric, and a close friend named Paul borrowed a small aluminum fishing boat from a neighbor. Nothing fancy. Just something light enough to drag into the water. They drove north to Caribou Lake, near Lutsen, Minnesota. It's not a tourist lake. Even now, it's buried deep inside the Superior National Forest. No cabins. No docks. No beaches. Just thick trees, a narrow trail, and dark water waiting at the bottom. My dad always said the fog that evening was the first thing that felt wrong. It wasn't rolling or drifting. It was just there. Heavy. Thick enough that you couldn't see the opposite shore. Swallowed sound too. No birds. No insects. No wind in the trees. He said it felt like the world had paused, and they weren't supposed to be there. Michael noticed it first. He was the cautious one. Always double-checking knots, always paying attention. When fish weren't biting, he didn't shrug it off, he worried. And that night, nothing was biting. They cut the motor and let the boat drift. Lines went in. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. Not a single tug. Not even a nibble. Eric tried to joke about it, but my dad said he could hear the nerves in his voice. Eric hated silence. And the fog made everything quiet in a way that pressed in on you. Paul didn't say much at all. He just stared into the mist, gripping his oar like he was waiting for something to appear. After nearly an hour, Michael muttered that the lake felt empty. Too still. Too quiet. That's when the first ripple appeared. It spread slowly across the water, wide and deliberate. No splash. No sound. Just movement. Then another ripple, farther out but bigger. Then a third, closer. And then something passed beneath the boat. My dad said the shadow was massive. Too wide. Too long. It blocked out the faint reflection beneath the surface like a cloud sliding under them. The aluminum hull creaked softly as the water shifted. No one spoke. They just sat there, breathing shallow, watching the shadow disappear into the fog. A few seconds later, the surface broke. My dad never liked describing this part. He always said the fog made details slippery, like your mind couldn't hold on to them. But he remembered the size. A long, dark shape rose briefly above the water. A head, serpentine, slick and wrong. Its eyes caught the dim light, pale and reflective. Not glowing, just watching. Then the body rolled past. Ridged, muscular, black-green against the gray fog. Too long to make sense. It circled them once. The boat rocked hard enough to make Eric gasp. Michael whispered for everyone to stay still. Paul's knuckles went white around the oar. Then it slid beneath them again. Every time they tried to row, it followed. Sometimes it stayed just beneath the surface. Other times it broke the water, an arch of its back, a coil slipping through the mist, before vanishing again. My dad said it felt ancient. Not aggressive, but aware. Like it was deciding what to do with them. Then came the first nudge. A hard jolt from below lifted one side of the boat, spilling water over the edge. They scrambled, hearts pounding. A second shove came moments later, stronger. The boat slid sideways, aluminum groaning. It wasn't trying to sink them. It was testing them. They rowed harder then, every stroke loud in the dead air. The creature surfaced again, closer than before. Its head turned toward them. And then they felt it. Not a roar. Not a growl. A vibration. Oh, steady. It traveled through the water and into their bodies, into their chests, their teeth, the wooden seats beneath them. It felt like the lake itself was humming. No one spoke. Even Eric stayed silent. The vibration lasted only seconds, but it felt much longer. Then it stopped. The water went still. The fog closed in, and the creature was gone. They didn't trust it. They sat frozen, waiting for another ripple. Another shadow. Nothing came. Finally, Michael whispered for them to row. They pulled blindly through the fog, not knowing where shore was, only that they needed to leave the water. Every sound felt too loud. Every splash felt like a mistake. More than once, they thought they heard movement behind them, but when they turned, there was nothing. Eventually, reeds scraped the hull. They dragged the boat halfway onto shore and stood there, soaked and shaking, staring back into the mist. The lake was calm again, silent, like nothing had ever been there. None of them ever returned to Caribou Lake. My dad always believed the reason they hadn't caught a single fish that night, the reason the forest was so quiet, was because everything else knew better. The lake didn't belong to them. Whether you believe this story or not is up to you. I'm not even sure if I believe it. But if you ever find yourself on a quiet lake, especially when the fog rolls in and the world goes still, just remember, you're not always alone out there. And sometimes, the silence is a warning. I'm going to keep names and locations mostly hidden for privacy reasons. All I'll say is this happened in the southern United States. Someone once described the place where I live by saying, "The trees are hiding something." At the time, I brushed it off as an outsider being dramatic, but the older I get, the more accurate that description feels. I grew up here. I still live here. And over the years, I've seen and heard things that don't make sense, things that shouldn't exist. When I was around 8 years old, I saw a silhouette walk from one side of our property to the other. It looked human, about 6 feet tall, but it was completely black. No features. No movement in the face. It didn't acknowledge me at all, just walked like I wasn't even there. Other times, I've seen things scurrying in my peripheral vision. Shapes that looked wrong. Almost demonic. Every time I tried to look directly at them, they were gone. My family doesn't take it seriously. They joke about it. Call me the one who sees things. Sometimes they even call me schizophrenic when I talk about it. So eventually I stopped talking. Out of everything I've experienced, though, what I'm about to tell you shook me more than anything else. This happened last winter in 2024. I was 15 at the time. My little sister was 11. I was in my room drawing. I'm an artist and I like drawing monsters, creatures that don't exist. I don't remember exactly what I was working on that day, but I remember being completely zoned in. Then out of nowhere I felt it. That feeling you get when someone is staring at you. It hit me all at once. My body went cold. My stomach dropped. My brain was screaming at me to hide. Now, I felt like something was watching me through my window. I was too scared to move. I just sat there, frozen, staring at my sketchbook, terrified that if I looked up, I'd see something I couldn't unsee. After a few moments, the feeling lifted. Like whatever it was had left. I didn't tell anyone. There was no point. I tried to convince myself it was paranoia. Stress. My imagination. Later that evening, my little sister asked me to play with her. I usually don't, I'm pretty reclusive, but I felt bad so I agreed. We decided to play hide and seek outside. Our property is big, but we set rules. No hiding in trees. No woods or tall grass because of snakes. And no going too far. We have coyotes, bobcats, bears, mountain lions, even a panther in the area. Eventually, it was my turn to hide. I crouched behind an old empty propane tank that had been pushed over near a row of tall hedge bushes. Beyond that was an open field, and then the woods. That's when the feeling came back. Stronger. It felt like something was staring straight through me, not just at me but into me. My legs went weak. My stomach felt hollow. Then I smelled it. Rot. Not just something dead, something wrong. Like multiple large animals rotting together in heat. Thick. Overwhelming. It made me gag. And then I heard a voice. Sounded like my dad. But distorted. Staticky. Like it was being played through a broken radio. Hey, Gabriel. Then again. Hey, Gabriel. I turned around, hoping, begging, to see my dad standing there. There was nothing. That's when I remembered, my dad wasn't even home yet. I forced my legs to move and ran. I ran faster than I ever have in my life. I grabbed my sister and dragged her inside. My mom and older sister saw the panic on my face and asked what was wrong. I told them the truth, which I shouldn't have. They laughed it off, said it was my imagination. My little sister went out on the porch and yelled, "Come get me, monster." Then came back inside laughing, saying, "See? Nothing's there." It upset me, but I'd rather her be inside laughing than outside with whatever I felt. Later that night, my dad came home and took my sister hunting. They shot a deer and brought it back. I helped them skin it on the hill behind our house. It was dark enough that we needed flashlights. That's when I saw it again. In the field. Something tall. Inhumanly tall. Walking on two legs. Maybe 8, maybe 10 feet. Too skinny to be a bear. Too tall to be a man. It was in the same place where I heard the voice earlier. I felt curious for a split second, stupid curiosity, and thought about stepping closer. Then a voice spoke in my head. Stern. Clear. Don't poke your head where it doesn't belong. I froze. I don't know what that voice was. Gut. Instinct. Something protecting me. That wasn't the last time I felt its gaze. Or smelled that rot. I call it the creature of rot, because that's the only name that fits. I don't know what it is. A Wendigo. A demon. Something else entirely. Once I got angry. I grabbed an axe, convinced myself I'd face it. Then I stopped. I listened to a podcast later where a man described shooting something similar, and it didn't even react. If guns don't stop it, my axe wouldn't either. So this is my warning. If you ever feel like going somewhere will lead to something bad, listen. That feeling exists for a reason. It might save your life. Stay safe out there. And good night. I'm going to start this by saying that recently, I developed a habit of taking late-night walks. It helped clear my head. Gave me space to think. That night was no different. The sky was clear and full of stars, and there was a slight chill in the air. Nothing uncomfortable, just enough to make you pull your hoodie a little tighter. I grabbed my phone, put in my headphones, and stepped outside. Almost immediately, I felt calmer. I started walking down the road toward the small forest near my house, put my music on shuffle, and let my mind drift. A light breeze moved through the trees, carrying the smell of damp leaves and earth. I didn't mind it. If anything, it made me feel more at ease. At that point, I didn't feel like anything was wrong. I was alert, but relaxed. After about 5 minutes, I reached the edge of the forest. The trees were mostly bare, so moonlight filtered through in thin, silver patches. I followed the familiar path toward a fallen tree I liked to sit on. I'd done this dozens of times before. I climbed onto the log, laid back, and stared up at the stars, listening to my music through one earbud and the night through the other. That's when everything changed. The forest went silent. No crickets. No wind. Nothing. The silence was so sudden it felt like pressure, like the air had thickened around me. I sat up immediately. Every instinct in my body told me the same thing. Leave. Right now. I slid off the fallen tree as quietly as I could and started making my way back toward the road. Toward home. Toward safety. As I walked, the hairs on the back of my neck stood straight up. That deep, sinking feeling settled into my stomach, the kind that doesn't come from fear alone but from something older, primal. I forced myself to keep a steady pace. I didn't want to run. Running makes noise. The forest floor was covered in leaves. Some were damp, but plenty weren't, and every step made a soft crunch that sounded way too loud in the silence. With each step, the feeling grew stronger, like I was being watched. I finally came into view of a large fallen log near the edge of the forest, the last stretch before the road. That's when the smell hit me. Rot. It was overwhelming. Thick and sour, like decaying meat left out in the heat. It clung to the back of my throat and made my eyes water. And then I saw it. It was hunched behind the log, partially hidden, blocking my way home. It was pale. Unnaturally pale. And humanoid, arms, legs, a torso, but there was no mistaking it. This was not a person. At first it hadn't noticed me, and I was desperate to keep it that way. Then its head snapped up. I froze. That's when I saw its face. It was almost human, but wrong in ways I can't fully explain. Where its eyes should have been were hollow pits, filled with darkness so deep it didn't reflect light at all. And yet, I could feel it looking at me, studying me. Its mouth was full of jagged, yellowed teeth, uneven and sharp, like they'd never been meant to fit together. Then it stood. It was easily 7 feet tall, maybe more. So thin I could count its ribs, like it hadn't eaten in weeks. But something about it told me it was far stronger than it looked. One of my earbuds shifted and the song Old Doll started playing. I remember thinking how wrong that felt. We stood there, staring at each other, like neither of us expected the other to exist. Its hand rested on the log. 5 elongated fingers, each ending in claws that looked sharp enough to slice flesh without effort. This thing wasn't just capable of killing. It was built for it. Then its head tilted slightly, and I felt its attention shift. Not away from me but past me. Before I could react, it moved. It burst forward in a blur, sprinting past me without making a sound and disappearing deeper into the forest. That was my chance. I ran. I didn't care about noise anymore. I didn't care about slipping or falling. I just ran. I risked one glance behind me. That's when I saw what it had gone after. A deer, a buck, already on the ground. I didn't stop to watch. I hit the road and speed walked home, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. When I reached my house, I slammed the door shut and locked it. Only then did I realize I was shaking. I truly believe that deer saved my life. If it hadn't been there, I don't think I would be. The next morning, I was standing at my bus stop, waiting for the bus to take me to school. That's when I saw a deer across the road. Not just any deer. It was a buck. And even from a distance, something about it was wrong. Its limbs bent at unnatural angles. Its movements were stiff and uneven, like it didn't understand its own body. Its flesh looked loose, almost sagging. A cold realization settled over me. Some deep part of me knew that this was the same deer I'd seen the night before. There are things out there that don't belong in this world. Some might help you. Some might hunt you. All I can say is this: trust your instincts. That feeling in your gut exists for a reason. Because sometimes something is watching. And it lurks. Hi, my name is Kudzi. I'm from Zimbabwe. My sister Rachel and I have been listeners of this podcast since the COVID era, and because of that, I finally decided to share something that happened to me about 6 months ago. I grew up in a Christian household in Goromanzi, a small town about 40 kilometers northeast of Harare. During the week, I live and work in the city, but every Friday without fail, I go back home to spend the weekend with my parents. Our home is located in farming plots, which means houses are far apart. Our nearest neighbor is at least 1.5 to 2 kilometers away. At night it gets very quiet. No traffic. No street lights. Just insects, wind, and darkness. To understand what happened, you need to know the layout of our house. There's one main front door that opens into the living room. Immediately to the left is my parents' bedroom. Further down the living room, still on the left, is the bedroom my sister and I share. After that is a room we use as a kitchen, and directly opposite it is my brother's room. That Friday night felt normal. Peaceful even. My sister and I went to bed early, sharing our room like we always do when I'm home. Sometime around 2 a.m. I woke up, or at least I thought I did. There was a heavy sinking feeling in my chest. It felt like my body was being pulled downward, like I was slowly being dragged into the mattress. My breathing became shallow and my limbs felt heavy. Over time, I've learned to recognize this feeling. Sleep paralysis. Before I could fight it, the dream started. In the dream, I was fully aware of our house. Everything looked exactly as it does in real life. I saw our main front door open and someone walked into the living room. It was my cousin. I'll call her Angela. In real life, Angela had passed away just 2 weeks earlier after a long illness. Seeing her there didn't feel comforting. Felt wrong. Her face looked distorted. Her eyes were too big, too wide, and completely unblinking. Her cheeks were sunken in, and her body looked unnaturally thin, like something hollowed her out from the inside. What disturbed me the most were her eyes. They weren't normal eyes. There were no pupils, no whites, just darkness, like deep, empty holes staring straight ahead. She didn't speak. She just moved slowly across the living room, toward my parents' bedroom door. The sinking feeling in my chest grew heavier, mixing with a deep sense of dread. Something inside me knew this was not my cousin. I tried to move. I couldn't. Then, somehow, I managed to shout, "Buddha Panza." In Shona, that means get out. The moment I shouted, the dream stopped. But I didn't wake up. Later, I found out that my mom heard me shout from her bedroom. She got up, walked to our room, and opened the door, only to find me fast asleep next to my sister. She stood there for a moment, confused, then quietly closed the door. After that, I slept deeply. No more dreams. No fear. Morning came like nothing had happened. As I was doing my chores, the memory suddenly hit me. I felt embarrassed, guilty even. This wasn't the first time I'd shouted in my sleep. It had happened before, and every time I'd wake up and apologize to my parents. So I went to my mom and said sorry for making noise during the night. Before she could respond, my dad spoke up. He looked serious. "I also had a strange dream," he said. "Around the same time your mother came to check on you." He told us that in his dream he saw a witch doctor enter our house through the front door. In African Christian households, a witch doctor is not taken lightly. It's associated with dark practices, evil intentions. In his dream, my dad said he immediately began to pray. Then he heard my shout. After that, whatever he saw disappeared. The room went quiet after he finished speaking. None of us said anything for a while. What still unsettles me is this: 3 people experienced something at the same time. My dream. My dad's dream. My mom hearing me shout. I've had sleep paralysis before. I know what it feels like. But I've never seen someone who had just died walking through our house, trying to enter my parents' room. And I've never shouted in my sleep in a language I don't usually speak unless I'm terrified. To this day, I don't know what visited us that night. I don't know if it was grief, coincidence, or something else entirely. All I know is this: whatever came into our home didn't belong there. And if I hadn't shouted, I don't know what would have happened next. I was 17 years old when this happened to me. I'm 22 now, and I live far away from that place. But I grew up in the hollers outside of Somerset, Kentucky. And if you've ever been there, you know how isolated it can feel. Long stretches of road, thick woods on both sides, hills that block out sound. At night, it feels like the world just narrows down to whatever patch of road you're standing on. This happened on a weekend, right around the time school was starting back up. The weather was nice, cool enough to feel comfortable but not cold. I got a text from my friend DJ saying he, Marshall, and Amanda were hanging out and wanted me to come over. I told him yeah, and said I'd bring some booze. My parents were asleep, so I snuck out through my bedroom window. I tossed my bag outside first, trying not to make any noise, then climbed out after it. Once I hit the ground, I slung the bag over my shoulder and started down the driveway. Their place was about 3 or 4 miles away. No car. Just walking. By the time I got there, I was already tired. The hills out there don't look bad until you're walking them at night with a bag on your back. We played basketball for a while, drank a little, just normal dumb teenager stuff. Nothing strange happened there. It was the walk home that changed everything. I left alone, heading back the same way I came. At first, everything felt normal. I could hear crickets, frogs down in the low spots, owls off in the distance. I didn't even have my phone out. I was just listening to the night. Then, as I started up the road that cuts between the woods, I smelled it. It hit me all at once, this thick, rotten smell. Like dead meat that had been sitting out too long. It was so strong it felt like it stuck in my throat, like it was choking the air out of me. I didn't stop. I just started walking faster. That's when I realized something else was wrong. The woods had gone quiet. No crickets, no frogs, nothing. And that scared me more than the smell. I knew there were bears out there. Mountain lions too. I pulled my phone out and put on some spiritual music, just something to keep my head straight and give me the nerve to keep moving. Then I heard it. It sounded like an injured animal. Oh, broken. Coming from the tree line. I turned on my flashlight. I saw a shadow moving between the trees. That's when I ran. And that was a mistake. The moment I took off, I felt it, this overwhelming sense that something was watching me, chasing me. I looked back over my shoulder, and I saw it, Its arms were long, way too long. Like a gorilla's but stretched out, ending in claws that looked at least 4 inches long. Its head reminded me of a deer, but wrong. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth, and its skin looked like it was peeling off its face. It was running at me. Not stumbling. Not charging blindly. Running like it knew exactly what it was doing. I don't know how it didn't grab me. It felt close enough to reach out and pull me back at any second. I don't even remember deciding what to do. My body just moved. I yanked my bag off, grabbed one of the bottles and a rag I had stuffed inside, and somehow, while still running, I made a Molotov. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped my lighter, but I got it lit and threw the bottle behind me. The fire exploded when it hit. Whatever that thing was, it hated it. It let out this sound I don't even know how to describe, then veered away and jumped off the bridge behind me. I didn't stop to look. I just ran. And ran. And ran. When I finally made it home, I stood there gasping for air, listening. The night sounds were back. Crickets, frogs, owls, and that smell was gone. The next morning I looked at my bag. There were deep cuts in it, clean straight slashes, like someone had taken a knife to it. I never snuck out again, because I know deep down that if I had, I wouldn't be here telling this story. So if you ever find yourself walking at night in the hollers of Kentucky, just remember this. Some things out there don't need to chase you fast. They just need you to make one mistake. And once they decide you're prey, running won't save you. I was 16 when this happened, living in a small town in Michigan. Really small. Population barely 1,000. My family didn't have a lot of money back then. No cable, no internet. So I'd sneak down to the local library at night. The doors were locked, of course, but I didn't care. I just needed to mooch off their Wi-Fi. I'd sit out on the steps, headphones in, watching YouTube or downloading music. Sometimes I'd even stream a movie. It was my little escape, my only connection to the world. The town itself is old. Very old. Some of the buildings are over 100 years old. Apartments stacked on top of businesses, houses dating back to the railway days. The place has its fair share of legends, Dr. Blood, the Blood Cemetery, local cult stories, but I never had any experiences like that. I didn't go poking around graves or trying to summon anything. No, this story has nothing to do with that. Except maybe the fog, but I'll get to that. It was midsummer, a night like any other. I was sitting on the library steps, music in my ears, just enjoying the quiet. Then it happened. A chill rolled through the air. Not the normal summer kind, something unnatural. And then, this bark. Violent. Deafening. It erupted out of nowhere and shook every building on the street. All the dogs in the neighborhood started barking at once. And just as suddenly, they all went silent. I froze. The street was so quiet after that, I could hear the wind whisper through the old trees. I searched for what could have made that bark. Nothing. No animal, no person, no car, nothing. Just me, the empty street, and the weight of that silence. I got this sick feeling in my stomach. Every instinct screamed at me to hide. I ran, well, more like crept, to one of the stairways leading up to an apartment building. I barricaded myself as best I could, pressed my back against the door. That's when I noticed the cold wind slipping underneath and the smell hit me, sulfur. Thick, acrid, and burning my nose. I could hear it breathing. Not a human breath, something deeper, heavier. Like it was studying me, trying to remember the scent of its prey. Then it started to push. Against the door. Hard. Harder than anything I had ever felt. The building shuddered slightly with the force of it. Scratching and clawing sounds filled the stairwell. I couldn't take it. I held my breath, waiting for it to break through. And then, nothing. Silence. The dog stopped barking. The pressure faded. I waited a long time after that before I dared to leave. When I finally did, I started walking home. Slowly. Carefully. I didn't want it to think I was running. But as I moved through the neighborhood, I realized the dogs weren't silent anymore. One by one, they began to bark in sequence with me. It was following me. I could feel it, just behind me. Every step, every shadow, it was there. I knew if I slowed down, it would close the distance. So I ran. I didn't stop until I was behind the safety of my front door. Even after I was inside, even with the lock clicked, my hands shaking and heart racing, I could still feel it outside. Watching. Waiting. I never went out at night again. And a few months later, we finally got internet at home. I didn't need to sneak out anymore. Not that I would have, even if I had. Because whatever that thing was, it wasn't just a dog or a wolf or some stray. No normal creature moves like that, controls silence and fear like that, and smells you like it was cataloging you, for later. I still remember that sulfur smell. I still remember the weight of its presence. And sometimes when the wind shifts just right or a pack of dogs barks in the distance, I wonder if it's still out there. And I don't want to find out. So if you're ever out late at night in a quiet town or wandering down an empty street, listen to the wind, watch the shadows. And whatever you do, don't ignore the feeling that you're being followed. Because some things aren't meant to be seen, but they're always watching. I'm 20, and this happened just a few weeks ago. I was home from college for the semester, and honestly, I was bored. I had just re-downloaded Tinder after deleting it more times than I can count, hoping to maybe meet someone. Dating apps feel normal now, right? So I thought, why not? That's when I came across him. Nick. He was only a few years older than me, tall, dark-haired, brown eyes, the kind of guy I normally wouldn't expect to match with. His pictures, though, they almost looked AI-generated. Too perfect. But I swiped anyway. We matched instantly. At first I was surprised. He checked a lot of boxes and honestly we clicked. We shared interests, hobbies, everything. He said he felt the same way. I asked to FaceTime, mostly to make sure he wasn't a catfish. That's when I noticed something. He got defensive. I get asked to FaceTime all the time, he said. Can we just talk first? I hesitated, but agreed. And for a week and a half we talked constantly. Phone calls, texts, hours of conversation. And the closer we got, the faster things escalated. Way too fast. One day I got a text from him that made my stomach turn. I'm so fucking desperate for you. I need you. I would be devastated if I lost you. If anyone tried to hurt you. I swear I could rip them apart. Tear their limbs off. I froze. My hands were shaking. I tried to calm myself. That's a little too much, I typed back. I like you, but maybe slow down. Things seemed fine after that, but the next day, FaceTime again. And this time I saw it. The difference between him and his photos and the man in front of me. His face was gaunt, almost smaller than it should have been. FaceTime can distort things, I told myself. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. We finally arranged to meet in person. My parents warned me not to go. I didn't listen. Big mistake. He was 2 hours late. And when he finally showed up, it hit me. FaceTime hadn't lied. This wasn't the guy in the pictures. Not even close. He was thin, almost fragile looking. I froze. My stomach churned. We walked around, painfully quiet. He kept asking if something was wrong. I couldn't lie, I felt trapped. I'm not attracted to you, I finally admitted. His reaction was immediate. Angry, then soft, then angry again. So now it's my fault? Have a good night, he snapped. And he stormed off. I called my mom as soon as I could, my hands shaking. I made it home a mess. I blocked him. I thought it was over. But the next morning, the text came. Hundreds of words, all accusatory, blaming me for his anger, his heartbreak. He claimed I would have cheated on him, that I was cold, unfeeling, and that I was going to fail in my career. He even insulted my religion. I tried to reason with him. I told him I wanted no part of this. That I liked him for his personality but not for the deception. He wouldn't stop. Multiple texts, multiple calls. Each one more unsettling than the last. Eventually I ignored him. Blocked him. I thought it was finally over. Until my shift at work that evening. I was finishing up, walking to the parking lot. Dark, empty, the usual lot rules putting us on the edges. Halfway across, I realized I'd left my water bottle inside. I turned back. That's when I saw it. 2 handprints. On my driver's side window. My heart stopped. My stomach dropped. Was it Nick? Had he followed me? Or was it just some random person? I called out to the receptionist walking with me. She came over, quiet, looking at the prints. It could just be a kid, she said. But they were too big. Too deliberate. I felt sick. My hands were trembling. I'm scared, I whispered. She reassured me, stayed with me as I got into my car. Everything seemed fine, until I checked with security. They had footage. And that's when I saw it. A figure. All in black. Pressed against my car, peering inside. Watching me. Looping around, crouching, hiding from the cameras. And then, when I walked back for the water bottle, it got up. It noticed me. And then, it disappeared into the darkness. I don't know how long he'd been there or if it was Nick. But I do know, if I hadn't gone back for that water bottle, I have no idea what would have happened. Since then, I've been on edge. Every dark parking lot, every shadow, every unexpected knock or buzz on my phone sends chills down my spine. I don't know what would have happened if I'd ignored it. I don't know if I want to know. But I do know this: sometimes the person you think you know isn't who they say they are. And sometimes they follow you, waiting for the moment you're alone. And that's the scariest part of all. I'm 31 now, and over the years I've seen a lot of strange things, experienced my fair share of terrifying moments. But there's one that still keeps me awake some nights. It happened back in the early 2000s. I was just a boy then, maybe 10 or 11. Call me John. I was visiting my cousin Alex, who was a few years older than me. He lived on the outskirts of Monroe City, Indiana, right near a stretch of forest we used to explore whenever I came to visit. That day started like any other. We played games inside for a few hours, just hanging out. Eventually we decided to head outside. Our plan was to build a fort in the woods, something we'd done countless times before. We were excited, laughing and joking as we made our way there. It only took about 10 minutes to reach the forest. Once inside, Alex suddenly stopped. "The birds, they stopped," he said quietly. I looked up, confused. "Maybe they flew away?" I answered, not fully understanding. He shrugged and led us deeper into the trees. About 20 minutes later, we found a small clearing. Perfect spot for a fort. We started gathering sticks, logs, and even a tarp we found lying around. For a while it was all fun. But eventually we grew bored. "Let's play hide and seek," I said. Alex hesitated. "I don't know, it's getting kind of late." "Come on, please," I begged. He finally relented, letting me hide first. I ran off, searching for a good spot. That's when I stumbled into another clearing. The trees curved inward, their branches forming a sort of roof overhead. The shadows made it darker than the rest of the forest, and the air smelled wrong, terribly wrong. I looked around and froze. To my left was a deep, ditch-like divot in the ground. In front of me, a strange mound of mud with a flattened top. On it, a dead bird. Blood and feathers scattered across the dirt. Curiosity got the better of me. I stepped closer to the ditch, and then felt something hit me in the back. I spun around, heart racing. "Alex, found you," he laughed playfully. I pushed him lightly, trying to shake off the unease. But then his face changed. His eyes widened as he looked around the clearing. "What the hell? John, what did you stumble on?" I didn't answer at first. I was staring into the ditch. Inside, bones. Decomposing bodies of animals, squirrels, rabbits, even deer. There was something that looked like a dog. And scattered among the bones, things that didn't belong. Knickknacks, toys, and then Alex pointed, shaking. His missing Game Boy, and other toys that belonged to his sister. We looked at each other, backs already starting to retreat. "We should go," Alex whispered. "This is scary." Before we could take another step, branches snapped in the trees to our right. We looked up. A creature. It stared at us. Large eyes taking up almost half its face. Dark, leathery skin stretched over its features. It didn't move. It didn't blink. And yet, we weren't immediately afraid. Somehow there was a strange calm, as if it was watching but not threatening. Slowly it backed up the branch, turned and climbed higher. That's when we saw it clearly, roughly my size, 4 feet 2 inches, skinny, with folded wings on its back. As soon as it disappeared from view, we ran. Fast. We didn't stop until we reached Alex's house, slamming the door behind us. We barely spoke, hearts hammering, trying to explain to his parents what we'd seen, but we couldn't. We couldn't even process it ourselves. Later, my mom came to pick me up. Alex and I shared a look that said everything. We agreed not to speak of it. But as we pulled onto the country road, I looked out the window and froze. High in the branches of a tree, glowing yellow eyes, watching us. I never spoke to Alex about it again, and honestly, I doubt I'll ever return to Monroe City. If you ever find yourself near those woods, don't go in. Whatever makes its home there, watches. And it remembers. I want to start off by saying, I'm a Christian. I've never really believed in all those cryptids or spirits. At least I didn't. That was until what happened to me happened. I'm 15 now, but this all took place about 8 or 9 years ago. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember the feeling of that night like it was yesterday. It was just a normal day. I went to school, came home, had dinner, went to bed. Nothing unusual. But that night, something changed. The air in my bedroom felt cold. Heavy. Wrong. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I was young, stupid, and it was winter in New South Wales, Australia. Cold nights weren't unusual. I fell asleep thinking nothing of it. A few hours later, I woke up. And that's when I felt it, a presence, watching me. At first, I thought maybe it was just my sister hiding something, playing one of her usual tricks. But then I heard it, a scream. It sounded like my mom. Blood-curdling. Terrifying. I bolted out of bed and ran to her room. She was fast asleep, completely undisturbed. My mind tried to rationalize it. Maybe I just dreamed it. Maybe I was imagining things. I went back to my room, and that's when I saw it. Our dog, lying on my bed. Dead eyes. Staring. Gorged out. I screamed. But no sound came out. I rubbed my eyes, panicked, and when I opened them again, it was gone. That night, I left my light on. I kept it on for weeks after that. The cold, heavy feeling never really went away, but at least, I didn't see anything else. Months passed. I had mostly forgotten about that night, enough to try sleeping with the light off again. I thought it was over. But that night changed everything. It started like any other night. School, home, dinner, bed. But as I walked into my room, the air hit me like a wall. Freezing cold. I could see frost on my desk, on the shelves. I rubbed my eyes, thinking it was just my imagination. I went to bed trying to ignore it, until I woke a few hours later. That's when I heard it. Whispering. Coming from under my bed. I looked, and for the first time ever, the room was empty. Not a shadow, not a sound, except the whispering. I lifted my head, and there it was. A figure. Towering. Its face hooded, hidden beneath some sort of black, flaming cloth. It held something in its hands, a staff, made entirely of what looked like human finger bones. I screamed, but only a small squeak escaped. It jerked back, just enough for the moonlight to hit its face. Flesh peeling from its skull. No eyes, just pits of blackness where they should have been. And then, it was gone. I stayed under the blankets the rest of the night, shaking, forcing my eyes shut. Eventually, I fell asleep. After that night, things didn't happen often. Just whispers. Sometimes, small sounds from under my bed. But the fear, the presence, it never really went away. Years passed. We moved houses. The first night in the new house was peaceful. Nothing happened. And nothing has, not really. I've thought about it every day since. I don't know what it was. My best guess. Some spirit, some demon had claimed that house as its own. And we were intruders. If there's one thing I learned from that, if something in your home seems like it wants you gone, leave. Don't argue. Don't try to prove yourself. Just leave. Because whatever it is, it doesn't forget. And it doesn't forgive. I'm 14 now, but this all happened a couple of years ago, back in 2020, right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. At that time, like so many other students, I was attending school from home. The world already felt strange, eerie almost. Everything was shut down. Streets were empty. Stores were closed. And everyone was trying to adjust to this new way of life. But what happened to me that year made that strange feeling feel almost normal. It was a typical weekday. I was home alone, sitting through my online classes. My dad was at work, my mom had taken my younger brother to a doctor's appointment, and I was the only one in the house. Everything was quiet. Just the hum of my laptop, the faint sound of my teacher's voice through the speakers, that constant low white noise that makes the house feel bigger and emptier than it really is. And that's when I first heard it. Voices. Muffled at first, like a group of people talking just outside. I froze. Maybe it was a neighbor. Maybe someone was walking by, but curiosity got the better of me. I paused my class, walked to the front window and looked outside. Nothing. The yard was empty. No cars. No people. The street was completely deserted. During lockdown, that wasn't unusual, but it made the whole situation feel even more unreal. I shook it off. Told myself maybe I'd imagined it or maybe it was coming from a neighbor's house, and went back to my class. But later that day it happened again. Whispering. Clearer this time. It didn't sound like the TV, or a podcast, or anything mechanical. It sounded like actual people, talking in hushed tones, just outside my room. I froze. My stomach sank. I checked every room in the house. Basement, backyard, under beds, behind doors, everywhere. Still, nothing. Over the next few weeks, the whispers returned several times. Always faint. Always just out of reach. They never happened when anyone else was home. Only when I was alone. At first, I kept it to myself. I didn't tell anyone. I thought maybe it was my imagination, or something I didn't fully understand yet. But then, something changed. My younger brother came to me one day, shaken. He asked out of nowhere, "Have you ever heard voices in the house? Like whispering?" My heart stopped. I hadn't said a word, but he described exactly the same thing. The faint voices, the feeling that someone was near even though the house was empty. That's when I realized this wasn't just in my head. He had experienced it too. Now, 5 years later, it still happens. Less frequently, yes, but sometimes when I'm alone, when the house is quiet, I hear it. That same faint murmur. Always soft. Never loud enough to understand. Just whispers that seem to come from nowhere, disappearing the moment I try to locate them. I've told a few people about it. Most laugh. Some suggest it's the wind, or the house settling. Others say it could be stress, the isolation, the anxiety of that strange time we all lived through. Maybe they're right. But a part of me, a small, stubborn part, knows there's more to it. Something we can't explain. Something that watches, waits, just out of reach. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying my house is haunted, but I do know one thing. I wasn't the only one who heard it. And whenever I'm alone now in that quiet, still space, I find myself listening, half expecting the whispers to return. And sometimes, just sometimes, I swear I can hear them soft and close as if they're right behind me, waiting.